pitchers keep dropping like flies, I'm assuring you that your pitching staff is still going to be stacked out, as I have some great must-add players for you on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. Matt may or may not be with us today. He had a little hiccup, and he's going to try and make it, so we might see him towards the end of the episode. But if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, guys, join us on the subtext platform. Through the subtext platform, it's an in-depth personalized experience through text messaging alerts right to your phone. You can ask Matt and I any questions that you have on your mind, and it's just so much more than we can offer in this 30-minute episode. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started today. And guys, we have an awesome giveaway going on. We're going to be giving away an awesome Locked On Fantasy Baseball hat. If if you go over to the YouTube and you check out our last episode, or if Matt jumps on later today, Matt's always rocking that Locked On Fantasy Baseball hat, and you can get one yourself by, sharing any of our posts on X or Instagram. Each share earns you an entry into the draw. The more you share, the greater your chances are of winning. And make sure you don't miss out, because this is just an awesome chance to get some free Locked On swag. The drawing will be held on June 14th, which is actually my birthday. So guys, get in the game now. And as I mentioned at the top, this is a really bad year for injuries. And I'm sure, you guys have at least 4 or 5 guys on the IL. And I mean, if you're lucky and got any less than that, then, good for you at this point in the year. But I have some really, really great pitchers and a couple of great bats for you as well today. Let's start with, honestly, somebody that I'm excited that I get to talk about off the jump here. Let's talk about some Clarke Schmidt. Clarke Schmidt, maybe you guys, if you know me, I'm from New York, a little bit of a homer, as I'm a Yankee fan. But Clarke Schmidt has looked really, really good of late. That last game on the 16th against the Twins, 8 innings, got the win, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs, had a .38 whip, obviously got that quality start. And he's just, off to a really stellar start in general this year. Clarke Schmidt has 5 wins through his 9 starts, a 2.49 ERA, a 1.13 whip, 50 innings pitched, 55 strikeouts. And you just really got to love it. I was thinking to myself earlier, and I was talking to Matt and a couple of other of my buddies about how the Yankees really must have been on to something when they knew to hold on Clarke Schmidt and they gave up on Michael King. Not that they gave up on him, because obviously, they got Juan Soto. But, it's just funny that Clarke Schmidt was somebody that they were like, oh, we're going to hold here, and he's really taken a jump. The underlying stuff looks pretty good. I think he's playing a little bit over his head. So if you could sell Clarke Schmidt, for $1.25 on the dollar, $1.50 on the dollar there, you might as well make that profit while you can, because I don't know if he keeps this under 3 ERA up all year. I think he's a guy that could pitch to a 3.5, 3.6 ERA with a decent whip and over that K per 9. But I don't think he keeps this up. And then as we always say, fantasy baseball is just always about maximizing your value, and that's something you can do with Clarke Schmidt at the moment, even though I do love him and I hope he can keep pitching this good, as I'm, my homer showing for, the Yankee Clarke Schmidt. But he's actually only 59% owned on Yahoo. I know it's a little high for, this type of episode. We usually try and stay at 50 or under, but, a guy that's pitching this good right now should honestly be 90% owned, if not universally owned at 100%. Clarke Schmidt, once again, just really, really love the leap from him this year. He throws 4 pitches at least 17% of the time. You got to love that from him. the fastball velocity is not something that's blowing you away, but the breaking stuff is, really, really good for Clark Schmidt. So somebody that, like I said, if he is a pause the podcast moment, I love saying that. So, you pause the podcast. If Clark Schmidt's out there, you find a way to add him in and you make the room. So from one New York pitcher to another, let's talk some Christian Scott. Christian Scott got the call up this year and has just performed really, really well so far through his first 5 starts, a 3.2 ERA, 25 innings, 30. Oh no, I apologize, guys. I was reading his minor league stats. Forgive me there, but those numbers are actually still really good. So actually, let's talk about those honestly. Through his first 5 starts in the minors this year, was a 3.2 ERA. He had those 25 innings, 36 strikeouts. Batters were hitting 136 against him with a 0.7 WHIP. Gets the call, hasn't missed a beat once again. 2 starts, 2.84 ERA, 12 innings, 14 strikeouts, a 1.11 WHIP, and batters hitting 234 against him. Gotta love it. And it's funny just because guys like this, 2 months from now, we're not going to see them on the waiver wire anymore. They're not going to be there. And the big 6'4", 215-pound frame of Christian Scott. Yeah, what's not to love? And he's another guy, like I said, just very lowly owned at the moment. As I grab his ownership percentage for you, I was looking at it earlier, and still only 45% owned for Christian Scott. I really think this is a guy that is going to rock out for the rest of the year, be one of those rookie pickups that actually excels. Some guys do, some guys don't, and Christian Scott is just getting the job done right now. So he's honestly another must add. I really love the names that we have for starting pitchers today, because so many of them have been hurt. If you have the Nick Lodolos and the guys like that have just went down, adding to the list, the Ryan Pepios, who's actually not coming back as soon as we thought. These are guys that you go and pick up. So let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk some Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin's, if you've been playing fantasy, just a guy. He's a guy that, has been around, gets it done, may not be as good as these numbers, but, going over to Baltimore, hey, it really could be something here. 4 wins through his first 7 starts, a 2.90 ERA with a 1.07 WHIP, 40 innings, 28 strikeouts. If you don't know Cole Irvin, strikeouts are really not a big part of his game. So you're not going to see that. But, a guy who's, once again, 48% owned. These, they might not be out there in those, those really, deep leagues and those like where you got a bunch of sharks in your league or a bunch of great guys, but we cater to everybody around here, and we just want to make sure that if these are guys that are out there in your league by some chance, you want to go out there and grab them. Clark Schmidt had a couple of decent years over in Oakland. And then, as he came over to Baltimore last year and, didn't really excel. I think they figured it out within this offseason because, as I told you, the numbers are starting to look really good. He's 30 years old, so I don't know if he keeps this up. And the underlying stuff, the FIP actually looks really good. Once again, FIP is fielding independent pitching, ERA indicator there at a 3.36 for, Cole Irvin. That's somewhere I think he's going to be. Once again, could he pitch to like a mid-3s ERA with underwhelming strikeouts and a decent whip? Yeah, he sure can. And like I said, going over to Baltimore like he did last year, he's definitely going to get some wins there as well. Let's just keep rocking and rolling, guys. We got a bunch of good names for you. Let's move on to Matt and I's boy, Michael Kopech, right? Now, Michael Kopech is somebody who Matt and I was super high on last year. We thought he was going to come out and, in that starter's role and take the world by storm and just be really, really dominant. And that's not what happened at all. He struggled. There was injuries. There was ups and downs. But the year before, in 2022, Kopech actually had a really good year out of the bullpen. So it kind of looks like, they're transitioning him back into that closer role again. And he's been pretty solid with it. The control is something Kopech's always struggled with, and I think he will still struggle with in this role. But the strikeouts can be really lucrative. I think he can suppress runs. He's got 3 saves since May 8th, so that's looking really good in his favor. And he's only 31% owned right now. And it's hard to come. I know it's on a bad White Sox team too. They're not going to win many games, but the games they're going to win are going to be close. And he's just somebody that, I really think we can give another chance here after, he had some really, really bad luck, a couple weeks back. But I do like Michael Kopech. And I think Michael Kopech is somebody that will have a solid MLB career, through the rest of the way. Even though, yeah, he's actually still only 28, he's got a few more years in it. And I think if it's not even with the White Sox, somebody will figure something out for this kid. He's just too talented, not to be a decent, whether it's starter, closer, reliever, something. We love to talk about the Jeffrey Springs and the Drew Rasmussens and the guys that went from relievers to starters. And, who knows, maybe Michael Kopech does it the other way. Maybe Michael Kopech was meant to be a closer. And I think he's a kid that could really figure it out. You know what? Maybe he figures it out and he pitches till he's 35 out of the bullpen. I'd love to see it, former, high end prospect. Yeah. You hate it when guys like that don't work out. But before I move on and talk to you guys about one more really good starting pitcher that we need to take a look at, I do have a quick ad break for you guys. And we're talking about our friends over at Supplies House. Get supplies from the site that is made for skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trade can help you get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com and order plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks. Once again, at SupplyHouse.com. And then, guys, are you watching ESPN or Fox Sports all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And then once again, guys, I want to talk to you about the Diamond Club on Subtext. And, it's just a place where you can get so much more than we offer in this 30-minute episode. You can ask Matt and I questions anytime, of day. Matt's got kids and, I got a dog now. So maybe not at night, but we'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. And you get, text alerts right to your phone. So, when guys like Paul Skeens got called up, we got you. And then, you got so many more prospects coming up. You got the Junior Caminaros, the James Wood. You're going to want to make sure you have those alerts right to your phone as soon as they happen. And with that, it's literally a text message. We get, the waiver wire players, we rank them. We send them to you on there. And like I said, just so much more that we can offer in this 30-minute podcast, guys. I'm not going to give you any of that hoopla today. It's one straight from the heart. We really would appreciate it if you checked us out on the Subtext platform. And the link to the bio is wherever you're listening or watching or available on any of our social media platforms. Would love to see you guys there. But let's get back into this episode, the fun stuff here, the reason that all of you guys are here, players that you got to get on your teams, right? And let's talk some Reese Olson from that Detroit Tigers team, right? Reese Olson, one of those young bucks. I really think Detroit's on to something here. They have so many good young players. I really, really want to see them, break out and start really winning some games here. They look better than they did last year, honestly. They're almost at 500. And, you love to see a team like this at least pulling it together. So, the 24-year-old Reese Olson this year has 8 starts, 2.09 ERA, 47 innings, 41 strikeouts with a 0.9 whip. And honestly, Reese Olson was pretty solid last year. As a rookie, 3.99 ERA, 103 innings, 103 strikeouts, a 1.11 whip. That's one thing that always looks really good from him. Control is pretty strong. Doesn't really walk a crazy amount of guys. Doesn't give up a lot of hits either. So, this is a guy, not a crazy amount of prospect pedigree, actually, really, honestly, almost none, no, not really a lot of success for him in the minors at all, to be honest with you. So, just a guy that if you missed out on, some of the bigger names that we talked about earlier, you give Reese Olson a shot. The wins aren't going to be there. The Ks might be around a K per nine. I don't think he's giving you much more than that, but at 39% owned, there's still leagues where Reese Olson's available. And let's check out who his next start against. He actually gets Kansas City on May 20th. That's not like a horrible matchup at all. So I think Reese Olson could go out there and at least give you some numbers for that start. But guys, let's switch over to, the hitting side of things. Let's talk about somebody who just came off the IL and might be available in your league. Once again, he's a little bit more highly owned. We're talking Zach Geloff here of the Oakland Athletics. Just coming off of the IL, I think he's actually only played 3 or 4 games, if you're including the game today on the 17th that he is scheduled to be in the lineup and bat fifth. He's 58% owned on Yahoo. Once again, a little bit over that 50% threshold, but I truly, truly think that, Zach Geloff, if he's out there, it's a pause the podcast moment. It's only a 188 batting average, but he has 11 runs, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 4 steals, in only 27 games played. So the power's there. The steals are there. I think Zach Geloff is a guy who can hit around 250. Very, very Jazz Chisholmish to me, Zach Geloff. So, got to make sure Zach Geloff is not available in your league. And then honestly, let's just even talk about what he did in that short stint that he had last year in the bigs, because you know what? He really, really excelled. And he was somebody who I know I picked up on a couple of playoff teams that I had. And he was just kind of the icing on the cake, especially with the power and the speed. So last year when Zach Geloff got the call, he played 69 games at 270 at-bats, 40 runs, 20 doubles, 14 homers, 32 RBIs, 14 steals, and a 267 batting average. So, like I said, he's not going to blow you away in the batting average department. Even though he had some strong batting average season in the minors, I really don't think that's going to be a part of his game in the bigs, at least not this season or, the foreseeable future, especially with the 8 walks to 38 strikeouts. I know some guys can get away with it in today's day and age. I don't know if Geloff is one of those guys. Like I said, he kind of just really reminds me of, he has that Jazz Chisholm power speed combo, and he's not on a great team. So, if he's out there, you definitely should grab him. Second base, it's been a tough position. But, it's tough with a guy on the Oakland Athletics. I do love me some Zach Geloff, though. And this next guy, I kind of do wish Matt was here for this one, because I really did, want his insight, his Philly insight. Matt is a Yankees fan. If you guys don't know, he is from New York, but he lives out in Philly now with his family. But I wanted to talk some Edmundo Sosa with him. Edmundo Sosa, the numbers look really good so far this year, and he's been playing a lot more, almost consistently every day. 12 runs, a homer, 8 RBIs, 2 steals, 306 batting average so far for Sosa through 49 at-bats. And he's got third in shortstop eligibility on Yahoo, and he's actually only 9% owned. For this is for your deeper league guys. This is a guy that we can go out there and take advantage of. So since May 1st, he's actually only missed 3 games, and then actually since May 7th, he's only missed 1, and he's scheduled to be in the lineup today again. So that's looking really good. And he's been hitting 7th. He's actually been scoring a lot of runs. So since May 10th, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runs in exact amount of games. So this is a guy who's getting it done. And as I always like to say, that old Tristan Cockrell phrase, juice the orange. And Edmundo Sosa, even if it isn't real, he's somebody that, like I said, just take advantage of it at the moment. Maximize that value. Maybe he's a guy you could throw in a sneaky trade. 28 years old, so a little bit older, but the sprint speed actually is really good. As I'm deep diving him here a little bit, he's looking like he's really, really fast. So I think the speed is something that we can, definitely count on from him. The runs look like it's something we can count on from him. So at, the corner and middle infield positions, I think you could do a lot worse than Edmundo Sosa at the moment. But guys, before we jump into these last few bats here, I do have one more quick ad break for you. And we're talking about our friends over at FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. And guys, right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. And guys, we had Josh Lloyd on the other day. So, go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball, and Josh Lloyd's definitely got some great advice this time of year for you guys in the playoffs. Me personally, I love basketball, but you know what? I think Josh has definitely got the great bets for you over there in the NBA. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, bet on spreads, money line, player props, and more. Visit fanduel.com/locked on once again to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, guys. So let's get back into this thing here. We got some really good names here to wrap up the episode. Let's talk some Tyler Stevenson, even with our catcher, your guys' way today. Tyler Stevenson is somebody who, had a breakout year a couple of years ago, and then he dealt with some, injuries last year, which I really think held him back. And in that really good, Reds lineup this year, especially for fantasy, I think Stevenson is somebody, we can take a look his way at the moment because he's really starting to heat up, and he's still only 27 years old. So far in the year, Tyler Stevenson has played 35 games, 102 at-bats, 17 runs, 7 doubles, 4 homers, 13 RBIs, has even thrown in a steal for us with 12 walks to 24 strikeouts and a 255 batting average. And if you don't remember Tyler Stevenson, he had that strong 2022 year where he played 50 games at 166 at-bats, 24 runs, 9 doubles, 6 homers, 35 RBIs, and he hit 319. He's somebody that I know can definitely chip in the batting average department, definitely has some pop in the bat. And like I said, in the Reds lineup, you really got to like what you see so far from him. Tyler Stevenson at the moment is currently 11% owned. And in his last game, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. May 14th, 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Back on, May 7th, May 8th, had a couple of good back-to-back games with the homer on May 7th, a 2 for 4 game on May 8th. He's somebody that's just heating up, and a good hitter like this, really 11% owned in those 2 catcher leagues. If you can go pick up a guy like Tyler Stevenson at the moment, even 1 catcher leagues, if you're in a deep 15 or something like that, I think Tyler Stevenson is somebody who can really hit the ball. Hits in a Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, which is one of the best parks to hit in the whole league. And he's hitting cleanup. I don't even know if I mentioned that yet. Did I say that? Well, no, he's hitting fifth on the 16th, but hit cleanup on the 13th and 14th, hit cleanup on, the 7th and 8th. That looks like it's really a spot that he likes in the lineup. So if they can keep getting him there, RBIs are going to be great. Ellie De La Cruz is always on base. If he's not stealing home, maybe Tyler Stevenson could be driving him in. But Tyler Stevenson is somebody that I really, really do like. And I had him, a couple of years ago. He was really excelling, and it's cool to see him, coming back as a 27-year-old after a tough 2023 dealing with the, couple injuries and all that stuff that really held him back. It's good to see him, playing better again. Let's move on to a former New York Yankee. Let's talk about my boy Mike Tauchman. I love me some Mike Tauchman. I loved when he was on the Yankees, and did his thing. He was a really, really great guy, did a little bit of everything for us. So, he goes over to the Cubs and, at 33 years old, just, getting it done at the moment. 41 games for Tauchman this year, 133 at-bats, 27 runs, 9 doubles, 4 homers, 13 RBIs, has even chipped in 3 steals, 25 walks to 32 strikeouts. The plate discipline looking really, really good for Tauchman in those points leagues. Definitely somebody you're going to want to take a look at. 263 batting average for Tauchman this year. Just a guy that kind of seems to be aging like, like fine wine. Like I said, any former New York Yankee, I really love to see them be successful, even if it is, against us and not on our team. Mike Tauchman is currently, let me grab his ownership percentage for you guys, currently 23% owned. And the craziest thing right now is I have to see where this ranks in the league. He has 27 runs to go with the 4 homers, 13 RBIs, and the 3 steals as well. So, I like I said, I got to see where he is as far as, league leaders in runs, because that number has to be up there. And he's hitting leadoff for the Cubs. I don't know how he's so lowly owned at the moment. It really has me baffled. Okay, so he's not as high as I thought. up, but it's still, it's still good for the top 20, good for top 20 in the league right now for, tied for Mike Tauchman as far as runs go. So definitely somebody that I don't know why he is not, more owned. I know he's a little bit older. And like I said, even if it's just a juice the orange thing, even those 5 outfielder leagues, you get him in there, you just play him. And when he's not hitting, if you want to dump him, you dump him. But then guys like this are always cool to throw in a trade, right? You can always take a Mike Tauchman or an Edmundo Sosa and you throw them in a trade and you turn, something you picked up off the waiver wire into, something somebody drafted or something that a player that's going to be that has a little bit more consistency throughout their career. Let's move on to potentially the last guy. Maybe we'll have a little bit fun and we'll talk about some other stuff after this. But let's talk with Luke Raley real quick. Luke Raley is, just, excelling at the moment. First in outfield eligible on Yahoo, 16% owned. And, as I said, just really been getting it done. Back on May 13th, 3 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs, homered again on the 14th. On May 15th, had a steal, 2 for 4 game. So, Luke Raley is, another guy that I don't know if I'm, buying into him being the long-term solution for your fantasy team, but just somebody that's getting it done at the moment. Just wanted to make sure you guys are aware. At 29 years old, I'm not really expecting the Luke Raley breakout. I don't think anybody is at the moment, but somebody that could definitely get out there, pop a couple of homers, steal a couple of bags for you on a solid Seattle team. Kind of been moving around the lineup and hitting between, it looks like between 5th and 8th at the moment. Like I said, power, speed, you can't really go wrong at the moment. But guys, that's really about all the must-add players that we have for you today. But you know what? I kind of said last time I wrote a solo episode. If you guys don't know, a little personal for a second. I had a loss in my family, and I haven't been super consistent with being here on the pod. Missed you guys, missed talking to all you guys. But I'm back here now. And once again, big shout out to my brother Matt for taking the reins and holding things down while I was gone, dealing with some personal stuff. But, love baseball, love to be back here with you guys, love to bring you guys, the content and, make sure your fantasy teams are doing great and talk to you guys on subtext. Once again, check that out if you haven't already. But you know what? That's all for me today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Be sure to be out on a new episode for Monday, where we're going to come back at you with some, some must-add waiver wire guys again. And also, guys, real quick, forgot to mention this. I'm going to throw it out there because I do got a little bit more time. Look out for a poll. We're going to be putting a poll out there, and I'm sure if you listen up until this point, you guys are a fan. We're putting a poll out there. We want to know what kind of content you guys want to see. We're kind of going to be switching up the schedule a little bit. We're going to be mixing in some new types of episodes for you guys. So look out for that poll and let us know what kind of episodes you would like us to be doing. We want to make sure that we're catering to you guys and giving you guys the best content possible. But once again, that's all until I see you guys on Monday. Peace out, folks.